I am so excited to be joined on the More Than the Music podcast by Mikey and Cliff from 7th Time Down. How you guys doing?
What's up, Justin? How are you?
Hey, thanks guys for doing this. We're going to talk about the songs behind God is on the Move. Of course, the title track, God is on the Move, so huge for you guys. Been played all over Way FM and all over Christian radio. But before we jump into the music, let's start back at the beginning and how this whole thing got started for 7th Time Down. You guys been playing music like since you were kids together, right?
Yeah, man. I remember Cliff moved to town when we were in middle school in a little town in Kentucky where we grew up writing songs together. I guess we probably started writing songs when we were about 14 or 15, somewhere in there.
Terrible songs.
Still writing some terrible songs, right? Yeah. But we just don't put those on the record for sure. But
what was like the very first song? Do you remember it?
One of them.
No, don't even pretend you don't remember it.
I made a mistake. Now they know. Now, well, some of the titles were. One was called Slapstick, and so
that's cool.
They were Christian songs.
They were Christian songs, but I mean,
what was the chorus of Slapstick?
Dude, I do not know.
Covering. It's just a bunch of. You'll never see recordings of these songs because they're either burned.
No, I'll tell you exactly where they're at. They're locked in a safe at my dad's house.
Yeah, that's true.
All the recordings, the video, and I said, if you ever shows to anybody, we're done.
I think this is the perfect opportunity to feature one of those songs on the More Than the Music podcast.
I'm pretty certain my 3-year-old might write a better song than this. I'm just saying.
Did you guys meet in church? How did you get started? I mean, growing up in a small town, did you just kind of know everybody?
Yeah, everybody kind of knows everybody, but sports is Cliff and I met playing football together. Austin and I, our drummer, we met playing Little League T-ball or whatever, and just got to play music together in middle school at a local like youth-led church service. That's kind of how it got started.
So youth group jams is kind of how it all got started.
Youth group jams, man.
Yeah. Now, growing up in a small town, what was there to do in Mount Vernon, Kentucky? Like, what did you do?
Oh, gosh.
I grew up in a small town, too. There was, like, nothing to do. There was a bowling alley, the movie theaters, and then we would just drive around the mall.
You had a mall?
Well, it was like a hallway with stores, but we called it a mall.
It was 15 minutes. Hallway store. It was 15 minutes to Walmart for us, so it's like that's not. I mean, Walmart was a big city.
Nobody had gas money to get to Walmart.
Yeah, so basically, but they did have gas money to do what they call cruise, which only the cool kids did. Essentially, you had the tobacco barn and the Napa in town, and you would take your truck or your mom's car or whatever you had, and you would turn around at the tobacco barn. You'd drive through town with your windows down and music blaring, and then you'd turn around at the Napa, and you'd go back down.
Mount Vernon, Kentucky sounds just like Tifton, Georgia. We cruised around the mall, the hallway with stores.
Do people still cruise, though? I don't know if that's
they shut it down.
I think cruising is over. I think social media killed cruising. Because back then, that's how you met somebody who was cruising, and then you'd park in the Napa parking lot.
You'd like catch eyes when you're going the opposite way.
And then you knew
that's
you were
how you met
stop.
girls.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You'd cruise like you yelling out the window, "Hey, girl!" I mean,
I guess that's why I never got to cruise. I was not. I was a dork. So
I never met a girl cruising. I just got to be honest.
Yeah,
never happened.
I was in chorus to meet girls. Come to find out, that made the girls not like me. So I don't know. I met them. They just weren't interested. It was sad.
Cruising was cooler than singing.
Exactly. Back then.
Look at me now. Oh, man. But you guys been best friends, right? But did you always play music together, or were you always kind of do other things?
When we got in high school, Cliff was in a band with Austin and Eric, which is our guitar player and our drummer. They had a band, and then I had another band with some other guys in school. And then you would play shows together, or jam or whatever. But after high school is when we tried college and realized we weren't very good at it. And that's when we started 7th Time Down together and, bought a van and hit the road and started touring.
I think I saw somewhere you guys did like some cover bands of like Christian artists too.
Yeah.
Was there a DC Talk cover band?
Well, we won't say a DC Talk cover band, but we were a cover band that played lots of DC Talk songs and a lot of Audio Adrenaline songs, Third Day, Reality Check, Newsboys. I mean, there's tons of them that we played. But
you could be Way FM like at a set right now, like playing every Christian artist ever.
Back then, we could play the entire Bloom record from Audio Adrenaline, like front to back, like even like the song Bag Lady.
See, they could. I was super sheltered growing up. I went straight from Carmen, like Satan Bite the Dust, and
oh my goodness,
to like classic rock. Like when I finally was like, you can buy your own records, I was like, done. I'm gonna go buy classic rock and whatever. And then when I got in the band, I'm the guy that they have to teach all the worship songs to because I never heard them, and stuff. But
that is true. I forget about that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean I didn't even know that music like you guys would play. I didn't even know that existed back then. I was like, well, it's either like church hymns or like Carmen. And there was one song that Toby Mac was with Carmen on his record, and I didn't even know who Toby was. He said, it's Toby time. And I was like, what's that? Is that like Coke snack time?
It's been so long, I forget about that.
Time.
Yeah,
Cliff
I didn't know
wasn't
what
in our
Toby
middle
time
school
was.
band. I just realized that.
Yep.
Cliff wasn't in the middle school band. Cliff and I started our band freshman or sophomore, but we had a band in middle school as well.
Right about the time when I was struggling with girls because I was not cool, Mikey says, hey, I know you got a guitar or a bass. Do you know how to play? And I was like, nah, not really. He says, you want to be in a band? And I was like, absolutely. Maybe that'll help me. Yeah, right. Maybe that'll help me.
You don't have to play an instrument to be in a band, right? You just show up and wear your guitar.
Back in those days, you did. Maybe not so much anymore.
Still not cool at all. But I married a beautiful girl and got beautiful kids, so it worked out in that regard.
Back in those days. I love it. I'm the old guy now, I think. I just feel you saying that just confirmed it, man. I'm the old guy. Back in those days.
This is not supposed to be a depressing podcast. Stop talking about that.
So when you did DC Talk Songs, who was Toby Mac? Who did the rap?
I feel weird saying me, but it was me. I was the only guy.
You got rap skills, Mikey?
I mean, now being in 7th Time Down, I have performed Jesus Freak with the Newsboys, with Tate, and I did the rap part.
True.
And
You were Toby?
I was Toby, dude. And Tate was like, hey, man, should we rehearse or practice or whatever? And I'm like, dude, I've been singing this into my hairbrush, like in a mirror in my bedroom since I was like 12. So we got this.
We did release one rap song. It's our version of Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, yeah, we did. Okay.
Where
I was getting ready
we
to be
rap
like,
a lot.
Shh, don't tell me.
Like that's the ones I burned.
This Christmas season, you'll be like, let's pull out Little Drummer Boy and hear what that sounds like. And
I do want to hear that now.
And we do every time we do the Christmas shows. Everybody's like, "You gonna do Little Drummer Boy?" So this year we borrowed a couple of snare drums from the local
marching
band director.
Yeah.
And we played Little Drummer Boy, and we did the rap, and we had Adam from Audio Adrenaline come and sing with us, and it was fun, man. It was cool.
Dude, I gotta see that now. Like,
Google it.
here.
There's probably some footage.
It's on the interweb somewhere.
Google it up.
Yeah, the worldwide world of web.
Now, you recorded a lot of your songs in your basement, right?
Yeah, actually, the basement that we recorded a lot of God Is on the Move and Just Say Jesus in is the same basement that...
You're still recording in it?
Yeah, because I bought the house from my parents that I grew up in. So it's like the same basement, and it's obviously a different studio space, but it's the same space, just different.
That's pretty cool. If the walls could talk and see the evolution of 7th Time Down.
It's all in that basement. Every bit of it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you guys, obviously, you're doing much bigger things than you were when you were teenagers. Why do you still go back to that studio to record?
I don't know, man. It's just a part of our story and a part of who we are, and plus it's where I live, and it just makes sense to write songs.
It's convenient. You can record in your pajamas.
Yeah, it's convenient. It's also like we don't have this big city, big world mentality like that. Like we feel like if God's gonna make good music through us, it doesn't matter if we go in Mikey's basement or if we go pay X amount of dollars an hour to sit in somebody else's studio. God's gonna make good music through us. So
We've done a lot of recording in tour buses, 15-passenger vans, hotel rooms. Like we did a Christmas EP a couple of years ago that was all in hotel rooms, and then the last Christmas album we recorded all of it on the bus. Other than the drums, obviously you can't
That's
fit
incredible.
a drum kit in there. But
there was a vocal we were doing in an old abandoned schoolroom. We were actually playing in like the auditorium of this schoolroom, and we were in the back in like a messed up, broken down, taking an extension cable into the room. We were recording in that old abandoned schoolroom, and these guys were like, "Hey man, what are y'all doing?" We're like, "We're recording for a record," and they started laughing.
Be quiet.
Yeah, they were like, "Haha, yeah, right." We're like, "No, really, this is going on."
I think
the
a
record.
lot of people do that nowadays, though. Like they record on the bus and in the hotels or whatever. I mean, we're all working all the time, so sometimes you just don't have the luxury of saying, "Oh, we're going to take 6 weeks off and make a record."
Right. Do you ever get complaints from recording in hotel rooms? Like, come on, guys, that's really loud.
No,
I'm trying to
because
sleep.
you just plug the guitar directly in and you put your headphones on.
Oh, you're playing with headphones on?
Yeah.
Dude, technology is so
Singing
amazing.
gets tricky. I mean, that you have to pick and choose your times and moments because
That's just because we sing really loud.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
I think you sing really loud.
I do. It's unbelievable.
Do you sing really loud, Cliff?
He may be louder
well,
than me.
I try to sing as loud as he does because if I don't sound like him,
it's a match.
if I don't sound
Yeah.
like him, it sounds bad. So I got to try to sound like him.
It's like dueling vocals on stage. So obviously, but growing up together, I'm sure there are a lot of stories. I read somewhere that there was once a story with you, Mikey, and Eric, where you tried to see who could go the longest without taking a bath.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, how'd that story?
Where did you
get
find
out?
this story?
Holy moly!
Hey, man, I dig up stuff. I text people.
When we were in high school, Eric and I one summer, we thought we would pull one over on our moms and just see how long we could go without showering, because we were going swimming every day, right? That was the logic. Like,
This is
yeah,
impressive and disturbing.
So Eric's mom somehow found out around like 29 days or 30 days. Or
29 days?
It was half the summer.
Well, they were going swimming about
every day. We were going swimming, and really, back then you use hair gel. You only had to go one hair gel like per month if you do that. You know, it's like you gel it, and then every time you get it wet, it just re-gels.
They take a bar of Zest or whatever into the pool with them.
Actually, I didn't do that. It was just the
kidding.
chlorine. But so his mom found out maybe 29 days in or 30 days in, and then ended up calling my mom. But I won because his mom found out first, and I was able to go a few more hours.
Is there a trophy
She
involved?
held
or
him
something?
down and scrubbed him down.
Oh man, no trophy. Just now I get made fun of in a podcast with Justin with the way of him. That's it. I can't believe you know that.
Dude,
Unbelievable.
I take like 2 showers a day. I'm kind of a neat freak and a clean freak, so the idea of going more than a few hours without a shower makes me...
I was 14 years old back then too.
Well,
so,
even at 14, I
yeah.
took like 2 showers a day.
You're just continually going to make me feel bad about this. I'm just saying it was an error in judgment, decision-making skills in my youth, okay?
I've got a 15-month-old who I change about 5, 6, 7, 8 diapers a day. So I probably could take a couple showers a day just for my hands' sake.
Ugh.
But no, I'm still.
My hands are continuously dry just from washing them too much. I can't imagine like changing diapers. I don't have kids. And one of the reasons I don't is probably because I would be disgusted by everything they do.
Well, you get over that really quick. My kids.
I hear that.
My kids have puked in my mouth before, I'll be honest. I mean, literally.
Dude, I'm out. I'm out.
I was tossing my daughter up when she was really little, and I was playing like, oh, and my wife's like, don't do that. She just ate, and I'm like, oh, whatever. In my
Dude,
mouth.
I have changed poopy diapers where I didn't even remember it because I was so tired and so asleep. I'd just be like,
It's probably all over your hand and your arm.
oh, guaranteed. I've guaranteed had poop on the hands. Poop's allowed to. You can say that, right?
Oh, you could say poop? Yeah.
If you're going to have this on the podcast, I mean, someday you're going to listen back and you're going to think, they tried to warn me that when I had kids, I'd get poop.
This is scary stuff now. Like, you understand, like, I'm slightly germaphobic. I don't think I'm full-on germaphobic, but this stuff, like, dude, when I hear somebody saying they got puked in their mouth, I'm like, why would you ever want that?
I laughed about it.
Well, it's not that you want it.
No big
You
deal.
don't want that. Like, I could totally do without my Griffin taking 4 man-sized dumps a day. I could totally do without that. I don't even know where it comes from. It's like he's sneaking off and eating like the neighbor's animals because he doesn't eat that much food to generate that much waste. But it happens. I could do without it and still love him. So it's not like you're looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm definitely not looking forward to it. Yeah.
If I never change a poopy diaper again,
It'd be great. It'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, how long until you're not changing poopy diapers? Are your kids about that age?
Well, my oldest kid's been out of diapers for years, but my youngest daughter, she's 2, getting ready to be 3. So I mean, we're getting close to being out of diapers.
I got about 6 to 8 months because usually with Liam we did 2 years, and then we do this. There's this crazy thing where it's like a week-long process and they're trained. It's wild. That doesn't mean they don't have accidents.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you spend the first 3 days, no bottoms at all, no pants, no underwears, no nothing. It's like,
You
all
just
right,
let your kids run around the house.
run around the house bottomless,
In
and
the
it's
nude.
like every 20 minutes you set them down on a potty and you give them a little laptop to look at or whatever, and eventually after 3 days they get so used to that like, I mean, it worked with Liam like a charm. Now Griffin, who knows? It may be totally disastrous. And
How did we get to potty
move.
training children?
Dude, when I have kids, I'm going to come back to this podcast and I'm going to be like the best dad ever just because of this advice right here.
No,
Guaranteed
I don't
wrong.
think I would take this as advice. I would take this as
What
learn
I'm
from our
hearing is
mistakes.
that you don't hold your kid over your head, you let them run around butt naked, and you
That
have to
second part,
occasionally clean
yes,
a poopy diaper.
That's true.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
I think that's pretty
Make sure
sound.
you feed them somewhere. in
Feed
there,
them a
too.
little bit, and you're good. You're good.
There are certain rules that go different for guy kids, girl kids, but you figure that out. Let's let you figure that out.
Oh man,
That's sick,
it'll be
man.
an adventure if kids ever come to my life. Let's jump into your
Moving
music.
on.
Yeah, God is on the move. The first track on the album is the title track. It's the biggest song we've heard from you guys off this album so far. I know there's got to be a cool story with this song being as big as it is. I'm sure you've heard like responses from people as they've heard this song and as they've given you a response to what God is doing in their life through it.
Yeah, so for me, keeping with the kid theme, there you go, Justin. Just seeing all the videos on the internet and Facebook and all the social media of parents sending us messages like, "Oh my gosh, this song's like speaking to my 4-year-old or my 5-year-old," and they send us videos of them totally getting the words wrong and singing "God is on the moon" or "God is on the roof" or whatever it is. But it's cool for me because not every song is going to speak to children, and me being a dad, it's cool to add to the conversation in that way and give the next generation like a bit of truth that they can grab onto at an elementary age or even younger, and just sow into their lives that way and watch God impact the hearts of little kids through a song that we wrote. It's been really cool, man. And seeing my own kids sing the song and I got a video on my phone actually, my 2-year-old just the other day in the back of the car, God is on the move, hallelujah. And she's just loving it. So it's a super special thing for me to see that in the lives of kids.
Yeah. And then you guys took a trip to Manila and got to sing this song too. And Cliff, you were sharing a story before we even jumped on the podcast about how you're just blown away by the response.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. I mean, it was a little over a year ago. I think right now it's about a year and a half or something. And we took that trip, and it was my first trip like that, basically on the other, clear across the world,
Other side of the world.
It was amazing to see this many people. We were at a revival where through their satellite campuses and everything, it was like close to 30,000 people or something crazy. And that song, God is on the Move, was like their theme song. It was they had been their band, which was probably better than us at that point in the game with like all these like big band stuff, like, I don't know, trombones and whatever else, trumpets and stuff. They were playing it however long before we showed up.
Wow.
So when we got there, it was like the culmination of what they'd already been living in, and it was huge to see them this excited about this phrase and about this idea that the song was representing, them so pumped about it, clear across the world, and that to me, I mean, when we started singing a song, they were jumping and doing backflips and just like a whole choir behind you dressed in like their robes. And it was unbelievable to see the people respond that far away from home to the message that God had given us, in a room with a bunch of dudes. Just
that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write the song too, because we had been traveling to the Dominican and all over the United States and just seeing, God moving through people in different parts of the world and wanting to give them like one song as like a banner they could just wave over their community. And so traveling to the Philippines and actually seeing God take that idea and it actually come to life, and see people like Cliff said, just living in that thought that like all over the world, the same God is moving through people in different ways and in the same ways. And that was an amazing moment. We invited their worship band to play along with us.
Killer.
God is on the Move the last night of the revival, and they were way better at it than we were, and it was cool. I feel like we were playing keep up with them, because they were so talented, and we had some of their worship pastors sing it with us, and they were so much more talented than we were.
If they ever got a work visa, I'd be out of a job.
It was really cool, man,
they would be the new 7-time
to be
down.
involved in that. It was neat, so... Yeah,
sometimes you can forget with so much negativity that you see on television or anywhere really that God is still working in our life. God still does miracles. God still changes people. I mean, sometimes you're just blasted with so much negativity that I'm thankful for a song like this because it is a reminder that God is still working. God is still moving.
Yeah, we need to, I think as a church, as a whole, like we need to start shining a light on the good things that God's doing in the world.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, there's so much focus on what humans are doing in these other parts of the world, and they're doing a lot of bad stuff. All these various factions and various, groups that are responsible for, acts of terror and all this stuff's going on. We don't have to talk about that because there's a focus on that 24/7.
Yeah.
There's very little focus on what God is doing in those areas too,
Yeah, man, I love this song. Another song on this album, Lean On. What's the story behind this one?
You hear me. Well, we were on tour a couple years ago, and we were out with a good friend of ours, Ryan Stevenson, and we had been on the road. Like we saw ourselves all the way in California, and we had not been home in like, I don't know, it was probably getting close to 3 weeks at that point.
Days.
Yeah, it had been a long time. It was the longest that we had been away from home in a very long time. And I remember us all just being exhausted, but also the tour was over, so then we had to drive like 30 some hours home back to Kentucky from California. And as soon as we got home, we had to go straight to Nashville to write one more song for the album God Is on the Move. And I remember walking in with our friend Jason and just telling him, like, hey, man, I'm exhausted. And if the Lord doesn't give us a song today, I don't have, like, one more note left to sing.
We didn't even want to be there.
Yeah,
I mean,
like, I just want to go home.
We wanted to go home.
And he said, well, I think that's our song, you know, because I think there's so many people out there that's just living life, like, exhausted, you know, like, that don't even know if they can get up and do it one more day.
Yeah.
Except for God and His grace and His strength. And so that was a song for us, just reminding ourselves, you know, it was really a song that we wrote for ourselves that day, you know, that, you know, we could lean on God's everlasting strength and hope and love to continue doing this ministry. And luckily, I feel like a lot of people have grabbed a hold of that because they were in the same spot. You know, a lot of people are just tired and need reminding that God's good and He loves them and He's there for them.
Yeah, on the surface, on the outside, like touring and doing all these cities and playing music looks so fun and so amazing, and it is, don't get me wrong, but man, it's really exhausting. Like when you guys are gone that much, when you're away from your family that much, there are times you just want to like just crawl in your own bed and not move for like a week, you know, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and to see how exhausting it is for our kids and our wives, you know, knowing that my wife's at home working, she's with our kids 24/7 when she's not working, you know, and she's getting them in bed at night, you know, I'm not home, and the next day they have to do it all over again without me, you know, so on both sides of the fence there, you know, it's exhausting for me and them, and you know, to have you know, stories like with God Is on the Move or any of these other songs, you know, from families that these songs are impacting them, you know, for the kingdom. It even breathes life into my kids and my wife, because they can say, oh, well, that's why Dad has to be gone. That's why my husband has to be gone, because God's using that, you know, and using this season that may be difficult for us to really help and impact lives of other people, you know, who are also dealing with the same stuff we are. So.
It impacts your life and the lives of your family in some practical ways that you wouldn't necessarily think about until you're in it. Like a simple example, and just to get the train rolling on the thought process of like what it goes through. We spend so much time in hotels and bus bunks and stuff like that you never know what kind of sleeping situation you're going to have. Reason what that leads to is that at home we sleep, myself and my wife and my kids. We do not have like a Tempur-Pedic awesome mattress. We have a very crummy old mattress, because my wife knows if I got used to sleeping on a very awesome mattress at home when I'm riding on the road, it'd be even worse trying to go to sleep. So that works for me, but
man, that's commitment.
The family, the family is like the family
she loves you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like you realize it impacts in very simple, practical ways. There are things that you have to arrange your life around it, and our families are the ones who are like the rock stars and who are stinking awesome, you know, for putting up with us.
I follow you guys on Instagram, and one thing I noticed when you're taking a lot of pics from the road, Mikey, you take a lot of pictures of your shoes.
Yes.
You have a lot of shoes.
Are you poking fun of me?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm interested in like your shoe collection, because you have a lot of really cool, awesome shoes. Like how many shoes do you have?
Thank you.
Do you know?
Well, I have a small closet in my studio space, actually, that's just full of my shoes, and my wife's always challenging me to count them and see how many that I have. And I refuse to do that, because then I know she's going to say, well, why do you need to get more shoes? But I do collect sneakers and things like that. And I don't know. The last time I counted was maybe 9 months ago or something, and I probably had 78 pairs of sneakers, and that's a lot.
78?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
I thought I had a lot of shoes because I had like maybe 10.
Yeah, I have a lot of shoes.
Like, how old are some of these? Are these like go way back, or are these more recent?
They would go way back. Some of them, I think I have a pair that's maybe 10 years old or something. But when I was a kid, you know, I'd get like one pair of sneakers on my birthday, and that kind of did you for like the whole year. And my parents are really cool. They would always just let me pick out whatever I wanted. Well, I'd usually get Jordan sneakers, you know. So that kind of started my love for sneakers. And then when I got older and got married and, you know, needed to find a hobby, you know, I started collecting sneakers. So I would go into a discount Nike store and buy like a cheap pair of shoes and then flip them on eBay. And then I'd take the extra money and then I'd buy the actual shoes that I wanted. So now I've really gotten into it, and it's kind of a thing. And you got all these apps on your phone that tells you like what's coming out next month. And they're called
I don't have any of
retros.
those apps,
so they'll take shoes that were available when I was a kid, and you can buy them now as an adult. Every couple of years they'll re-release a certain pair. And
It really is like a hobby for you.
I did not even know you could know this much about shoes.
I know, I usually know like what year they would have originally came out in, what game Jordan would have wore them in. If he
whether or not Nike had to pay a fine for him wearing them.
Sometimes,
that game.
I just like the history and the culture, like surrounding basketball and sneakers, and it's really cool. I mean, it's there's some people out there that literally, they have shoes that they've spent $10,000 on one pair of shoes.
What?
It's crazy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
On some shoes.
There's a skateboard shoe.
They touch the ground now.
Called the Pigeons that were like a release in New York from a little small skate shop, and it's just a low top Nike Dunk. It's got a little pigeon on it, and they're probably $6,000 to $10,000 on eBay.
That is incredible.
Yeah, and that's just a Nike Dunk. They have like the Air Mags that were from the Back to the Future movie.
Didn't they auction those? And
those were an auction.
Charity or something?
They went to $16,000, I think, for a pair.
Insane.
The flu games that Jordan wore when he was had the flu in the playoffs in the 90s. He gave those to a kid in the crowd. He put them in a safety deposit box, and I think he sold those on eBay a couple years ago for around $100,000. But Jordan actually wore those.
That is incredible. Like I'm kind of this way with hats. I mean, I'm not dropping $10,000 on a hat.
That. Well, I'm not dropping $10,000 on sneakers either.
Yeah,
my wife would kill me. Plus, who's got $10,000?
But I do like some of these hats I buy. They might be over $100, and
yeah,
I don't make that
that's
much,
a pair of sneakers.
So it's an investment. Yeah.
Well, that's what I tell myself in my shoes too. But then I get them out of the box. I haven't worn them for like a year, and they're turning yellow, and I'm like, I don't know if this is an investment. It's deteriorating quickly.
Yeah.
But you wear your hats.
I do.
What?
Every day. I wear a hat every day, literally.
It's a hobby, man.
There you go.
It's like everybody's got something like that.
That's what I waste money on.
If you got a guy that plays golf, he's going to spend $300 on a driver and maybe use it once a week.
$25, $30 every time he golfs.
Yeah.
But
you wear your hat every day. I wear sneakers every day.
Yeah, you got to wear shoes.
It's all good.
Got to have them. Now, while I was intrigued by your shoe collection, Mikey, I'm equally intrigued because I follow you, Cliff, on Instagram too.
Uh-oh.
And it seems like every selfie you have the same facial expression.
Oh, the Instagram face.
Yeah, the Instagram face.
Yeah.
I
the
called
Instagram face.
I called it the Rocks
like
People's Eyebrow meets Bug Eyes meets Duck Lips.
Yeah, it's stink eye, basically.
Yeah.
It's like a stink eye. And then
Stink eye. I know exactly what you're talking about. I could probably do it.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
The stink
That's it right
eye,
there.
yeah.
It's a podcast. You can't see it, but you can see the video on YouTube right now.
So basically, it happened one video or one picture or something. I did that, got a comment or something, and I saw myself. It came out of nervousness because I'm not used to, I don't come from the filming yourself age. So
Right.
if, like, immediately you tell me you're filming, I have to fight being nervous or whatever, and like, what do I do with my hands? I'm that guy, So it came from me looking at myself and being like, like that, and then making that face every time I make a video, and it's
every single one. Like
I need to get back to doing that because it's been a long time since I did one.
The Instagram face?
Yeah.
maybe it's time for a new Instagram face.
I knew it.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing the stink eye? It's been a long time.
I think it's kind of like Blue Steel. That's the only look I got. Like I could rename it. It's no longer stink eye. Now it's, like you said, people's eyebrow, but it's going to be same deal. Or maybe I'll try it on the other side.
People's eyebrow with
That's
the duck
funny.
lips. That's Cliff's Instagram pose.
That's me.
Cliff, one of your favorite songs on this record is this song Always. What's the story behind it?
Okay, so if I haven't guessed it already, Always is about returning to God. And we were in the studio.
Prodigal.
We were in the studio and we were just listening to that story and reading that story about the prodigal that Jesus was telling him. Father had two sons. Eldest said, I want my portion and I want to get out, and went and spent all of his money and ruined his life and then came back. And we were writing that song and we knew it was a very big, very powerful thought and felt like it was bigger than us, like we want to get this right because there are probably a lot of people that feel like they're too dirty or too messed up for God to love them. And that's just not true, but they need to know that. And so we were stuck at the chorus. We didn't know what the Father would say when you came back. It was hard to put that into words into a song, and we didn't want to mess it up. So being stuck for like 10 minutes on this part in this song, I got on the phone and said, hold on a minute. And I just called my dad. And I said, hey, if I were to go out and just really mess up my life and just screw up and do some terrible things and then come back home, what would you say to me? And his first words were, what'd you do? I was like, no, okay, time out.
Go to your room.
This is just hypothetical. You know, we're writing a song. And he said, your kid's your kid no matter what he does. He said, you're always going to love him. And then I was like, okay, I got to go. So I got off the phone and we finished it, you know.
Wow.
And the lyric in that chorus says, you're my child no matter what you do. Welcome home for your mistakes. You know, and it was the poetic version of what he had said.
Mm-hmm.
So
your dad was a preacher too growing up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What was that? Did you ever have those moments where dad had to really get on you? And as a preacher, you know, he couldn't really go too far because he had to get in the pulpit that next Sunday.
No. My dad took liberty to discipline me however he felt I needed. There was one time where my mom didn't believe, he was a softie. Mom didn't believe that he had paddled us. She said, you just went in there and swatted pillows or whatever. And so
was that like a normal thing he would do, like fake whipping you guys?
No, I don't understand where this came from. I don't know why. My mom, creative. Okay, she's a creative. So, anyways, here he's like, I'll show you. And he pulled me out, and we had guests over, and dropped trowel right in front of all the people and showed my little red bottom, and I was so embarrassed.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, he gave you another spanking in front of everybody
just
to prove
Lord,
it.
No. Lord, no. He,
I'll show you.
Yeah, he just showed my little red bottom, and she's like, all right, and I was so embarrassed. That was worse than the paddling. But yeah, we were, like I said before, I was very sheltered, listening to Carmen and singing gospel hymns, and today...
Getting fake whippings.
And today, I mean, our church sings all the hymns.
Yeah.
There are songs on the record that sound like hymns because that's when we go home, we go to our country churches, they're singing Amazing Grace and, Getting Ready to Leave This World and I'll Fly Away, all these songs that I can, quote
language.
the entire...
We don't really have like churches where we live that, there's not like a contemporary service versus a traditional service. It's just like one thing, and you may hear... You're not going to hear Guys on the Move. No, you're not going to hear that. But,
no.
Mostly hymns. That's how we grew up, and it's kind of just stayed there, I guess, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I grew up, too, man. I grew up in this country, like, Pentecostal church where we sang, like, Victory in Jesus and
there you
the
go.
Old Rugged Cross and Power in the Blood. I mean, there's your Easter set right there, man.
Beulah Land. Come on now.
Beulah Land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But it's cool to see, like, even coming from that, how you interpret the music now and how it sounds so different, but yet still intertwining those things you grew up on.
Yeah, truth's truth, though, no matter how you word it. If it's true, it's always been true. And, there's so much truth in those hymns that, we're not going to think up new truths, so you have to borrow and, from all those things. And, stylistically, I didn't listen to hymns in my car in high school,
Yeah.
So.
Well, and times change, but God doesn't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if we're talking about God and we're talking about human beings relating to God, the same truths, like he said, that were true in the original Lean on Everlasting Arms or whatever that song is, whatever Everlasting Arms, I think is an old hymn that literally inspires us for our song Lean On, you know, and other ones. There's other ones that I'm sure other artists have taken newer songs and been like, man, this other hymn that in my old church the other day, they were singing with their choir, just really spoke to me, and it comes into a new way of doing it.
Yeah. Man, one song on your record that really reminded me of my home church was Revival. You talked about, like, I think one of the lines is like sitting at mama's feet. Man, I used to sit under the pew and like sleep under the pew and everything, man. That song was like, dude, that was what I grew up like that.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think the first line talks about the church that I grew up in. It's this little country Baptist church, I think it even had a dirt road leading up to it, but 50 people maybe was the capacity of the pews. And gosh, I just remember like really encountering Jesus there, for the first times as a kid. And like, I'll never forget that, just feeling like the the heat from the person sitting next to you, and the pastor was like, passionately delivering truth.
Church fan. I think you even mentioned church fans going in the song.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Praying and sweating. That's one of them. Like,
picture of the church on it, Bible verse on the back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's my church today. The church that my dad pastors still is like 35 people. My kids now are like laying in the pew and whatever.
That's great.
Yeah.
Typical thing, man. It's the same deal. It's awesome.
Like literally cut my teeth on the back of the pew. I know you probably heard that phrase before, but like literally that was my childhood.
That's awesome,
Mom
man.
and Dad, I mean, you were in church no matter what. Twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday, man.
Yep. That's cool.
And the last song we're going to talk about from this record is Beautiful Life. What's the story behind it?
Oh man, Beautiful Life. That's the funnest story behind any song I think we've probably ever written. We were driving to Nashville to write some songs, and we started writing the song about a family leaving their keys in their car or something like that.
Here's the setup. Okay, so we're going to Nashville. We always stop in Bowling Green, Kentucky at a Starbucks for some coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and this time
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, thank you. And so I'm like, man, I want to treat you, Mikey. I was like, I'm going to get your coffee. I'm going to be a good friend. Let's stop and get coffee. He's
so
like,
of course I order the biggest coffee.
So he's like, yeah, man, I'll get whatever, And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. I got it. I got both of us. I order mine, he orders his. And like, it's going to be whatever it is, And I'm like, okay. Reach into my pocket, no wallet. Now we're left on a 2-day trip to Nashville to write songs. No wallet, no ID, no nothing. And I'm like, hey, dude. I don't have my wallet. So he's like, oh, yeah, great. Okay, fine, I'll pay for it. But Mikey didn't care. I'm painting him out to be a bad guy.
I'm still upset about it.
He's still a little burned.
Anyway, set me up.
Set him up. So he buys our coffee. I have no wallet, obviously. So for the whole time, not only is the coffee going to be on him, but apparently the rest of the trip is going to be on Mikey. If I order food, it's going to be on him because I have no money. And so then...
So we start writing the song, right? About, you think about all the things you do. You leave your keys, you lose your cell phone, all these things that you do. And then when we actually get to Nashville, we are meeting with our lovely manager here, Derek Bruner, and we go back out to the car, and Cliff goes to open his door, and it's locked to the car. I open mine, it's like, hey, dude, unlock the car. And he goes, I'm
looking at the keys.
The keys are in the seat. No. And we had just written a song about leaving your car keys, and finding an encounter with Jesus in the midst of all the chaos, in life. And I'm like, dude, not only did I have to pay for a coffee and pay for your food and pay for everything else.
Now we have a locksmith come to the car, and he's like, it's going to be $50 or whatever. And I just go, hey, Mikey, can you hook me up here?
Hey, man.
And I'm just like, it's going to be 3 days, it's because I got a checking and a savings account, and I got to transfer money, and no, you can't have the $50.
Cliff, man.
I'm a terrible
get your
friend.
Stuff together, man.
I'm a
Come
terrible
on.
friend.
Like, did you ever pay him back? Did you ever cover something
he
else?
Actually did. Because basically, as soon as we got home, I want to say you drove back to my house and wrote me a check.
I did. I wrote him a check that bounced. No, I'm kidding. It didn't bounce, but but yeah.
You are a good friend.
He is a good friend.
Well, I'm just returning the favor. I mean, obviously, it's a good friend who's like, well,
I
man.
paid for all that stuff begrudgingly, though. I really did. I was upset that you said
because with lifelong friends, you can hold debt for a long time.
Well, and
That's right.
I wound up kicking my own butt in that scenario because we wound up eating at this restaurant that same night where I decided I'm going to go light and go easy because I'm going to have to pay them back, so I'm just going to get a burger. And they offer these burgers, and then they're like...
I forgot about that, too.
They said, well, I look at this list of toppings. It's unreal. It's like 20-something toppings. I love burgers, and I love piling everything on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, just give me it all. Give me everything. They're like... He looked at me with the eyebrow, with the stink face, stink eye or whatever, and I'm like, what? He's like, everything? I was like, yeah, dude, all of it. It sounds great.
Fine print.
The problem was I didn't realize that every extra topping was like $1.49.
Oh my god!
So I wound up having a $30-something cheeseburger.
You really did, because when I got the ticket, I was like, dude, your burger's like $30.
And I about choked. I was like, what?
It's like $2 for bacon, $1 for mushrooms, $1 for this, and like it was
wonderful,
$30
but.
It feels so good when somebody else is paying.
That came out of that.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Cliff, I hear that you're a pretty good karaoke singer. Do you have karaoke skills?
He's very good.
Is that what I hear?
Reluctantly so, yes. It has to be the right situation, but then yes, I will karaoke.
What's your favorite song to sing karaoke?
Aerosmith.
Oh yeah, I love singing Aerosmith songs karaoke.
Can you hit the note on Dream?
Yes.
Well, yes, but I used to sing a lot of Aerosmith songs when I was younger. That's what.
So Cliff Cliff sings all the high harmonies in the choruses of our songs.
Okay.
So a lot of times people come up and be like, "Oh man, the song's great. The melody's so high. It's cool. You can hit that." And I'm just going, "Yeah, but Cliff's way
going
better
higher.
'cause he's way higher."
It is funny in the studio sometimes. I'm like, are we sure we need the high harmony there? And one time Ian, our buddy, is producing. He's like, yes, you need the high harmony because you can.
Yeah.
He's like, so let's just do it. And I'm like, all right, I don't even know if it sounds good, but fine. You know.
Do you ever like tell Cliff dude, tonight don't karaoke? We've been embarrassed so many other times. Just don't.
It's not embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. It's
No,
a good karaoke.
Yeah, usually people buy your dinner when they hear him sing karaoke. It's unbelievable.
It's what the
You could
funny.
have paid for that $38
I
burger
know,
like
I
karaoke
know.
that
I
night.
should have
have-
made him sing karaoke at that place.
I did have somebody come up once, and this was really funny. They said, man, you did a good job. You don't need to be singing karaoke. Like, you actually should do this.
You should be in a band.
And I just was like, thanks, man. That means
Thanks,
so
man.
much.
I'll work on that. Maybe God will call me there one day. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you joined me on the More Than the Music podcast to share the stories behind God is on the Move, man. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Justin.